the others. Hanging with the plumbers, you'll be hooked on the brothers to the bridge.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm Jeff Onan.
And on this episode of our long-running Donkey Kong Universe podcast, we're going to be talking about the little bits.
We're going to be talking about Little Bill. Love that show. Nothing wrong with that.
I don't even remember what Little Bill is, Jeff.
It's a Cosby thing, so we shouldn't talk about it.
Oh, that's what I thought. And then I was like, wait a second, I'm about to make accusations against something that I don't even recall. So, glad you clarified that I can hate on Little Bill.
This is not the Little Bill podcast. This is not the Nick Jr. podcast, although we would be talking about Little Bill, Little Bear, all of the classics.
I think
we're going to be talking about the little bits.
Yeah, I want to talk about Eureka's Castle if we're talking Nick Jr. Remember Eureka's Castle?
Urethra what now?
Yeah, no, that might have been before your time, little boy.
It was.
Yeah.
I was born in 2012.
No, so in the inter-season downtime of the Kongversation, when we had our little winter's nap, we went into our little forest dens with our piles of nuts and we hibernated. There's been little drips and drabs of relevant Super Mario Bros. Movie news to discuss. Not anything in the realm of a full trailer, but little TV spots, little leaked pieces of merchandise, some posters here or there that have further provided context for all of the Donkey Kong elements in the movie. So this is kind of our roundup episode betwixt trailers in the lead up to the film's premiere in April. This is just getting all the stuff out of the way that we haven't discussed thus far on the podcast. So thanks for being here, Jeff.
You are welcome. And I also want to thank our friend Dustin, who is in our live stream chat, says, "Nyah." Dustin, I hope that you have done all of your chores, mister.
Yeah, you shouldn't be listening to podcasts if you haven't done all your chores. You got to take out the trash. Have you made your bed, young man?
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
Get to it.
Clean those sneakers.
That's one of the chores.
I don't.
Cleaning all this.
I always see that on shows like Little Bill, like clean your sneakers. I'm like, my parents never made me clean my sneakers.
My parents never even let me have sneakers. I was in punishment time too often.
You had to wear newspapers.
That's true. I wore those Kleenex boxes on the feet.
Yeah, that's right. Well, anyway, at the very least, they had aloe in there, so your feet were kept soft and supple.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
All right. Well, before we get into the nitty gritty of this feature film, the little bits of the feature film, we're going to have to plug our own wares really quick. And of course, I'm talking about the DK Vine merchandise store. Oh yeah, we have a merchandise store. That's right. It's on tpublic.com, but you can find us at dkvine.com/merchandise. We got some great shirts on the DK Vine merchandise shop. Jeff, what's your favorite?
I was going to say, we have some great shirts, and we also have a grape shirt. Those are separate categories. I like the one with a joke on it. I don't know.
You don't care. See, I would think you would want to really talk up the grape shirt, since that's your joke.
Yeah, I get paid if you buy a shirt that has wait, time out. Kind of generous to call it a joke. Time back in. Yeah, if you buy that one, I get paid a little bit of scratch, but no one's going to buy it. No one has, no one will. That's fine. I didn't even buy it. I don't have any scratch to buy it with, so.
And yeah, so for Jeff to buy his shirt, you first have to buy his shirt. So therefore, he has the money to buy his shirt.
This is like a GoFundMe. If enough of you buy the shirt, I will raise enough money that I could buy the shirt. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna buy the shirt with that money. That shirt sucks. But I might buy Clive and Wrench if enough people buy the shirt.
I don't know. I was thinking, because TeePublic was running a sale. They do these 48-hour flash sales where it's like all shirts are 35% off. So I was thinking about buying the grape shirt because I would wear it. I would embrace that on my body. I like it. I like that it is, it's two jokes in one that mean nothing to anybody except us. And I would gladly wear that. I'm actually wearing my Kongversation t-shirt as we record this. It is the Kongversation season 10 album artwork, the kind of Sea of Thieves pastiche that has our pirates on it and Pepito Kong.
Oh yeah, Dustin drew that.
Dustin drew that. Dustin gets a cut of this shirt whenever you buy it. And it's quite comfortable, I have to say. I didn't know what the comfort levels were going to be. And that's what really kept me from investing in like one of these merch shops on these websites, because I wanted the quality to be good and I wanted it to be comfortable, because I don't like itchy shirts, Jeff. It bothers my skin.
Oh, you're one of those weirdos who doesn't like itchy shirts.
No, yeah, I know most people love an itchy shirt. Not me. No, I am a trailblazer. I go my own way. And I'm like, I like comfort. I like softness, because, I could just be naked. That is the most comfortable state of being.
Yeah, that would really be a flash sale.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But I heard good things about TeePublic. Our friend Courtney has a shop on there as well. So I went with them and I got my Kongversation Season 10 shirt. It's damn comfortable, Jeff, I have to say. And the quality is spectacular. Like, this is just a vibrant retelling of Dustin's artwork, but it's on my chest. It's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. That's enough talk about the shirt. What's the next thing? What's
DKVine.com/merchandise. Jeff, you really know how to close the sale.
Yeah, buy the shirts, everyone, or don't.
Oh, yeah. Alec Baldwin would have some words with you.
At gunpoint?
That's a reference to Glenn Ross. What was the movie?
Hyle, I was born in 2012.
Anyway, that's not a reference to the movie where he shot somebody.
The only movie I know with Alex Baldwin was The Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers. We love that.
You've never even seen Beetlejuice. You're so young.
The Beatles, that's dad rock. I don't care.
All right. Really quick, I do want to plug our Twitch channel. If you'll allow it, Jeff, will you allow me the honor of telling them about our Twitch channel?
Oh, go on then.
All right, thank you. Twitch.tv/DKVine. We stream 2 to 3 times a week. We've got our Sea of Thieves stream every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. GMT. We've got the Idaho crew streaming Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. They stream all manner of DKU games. And I also stream DK Vine Done Slow, which usually streams on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Oh, what is it? 11 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. GMT. So,
and if you tune in often enough, you might even catch the secret stream.
The secret stream where we model our T-shirts for you and nothing else.
Supposed to give it away. Jeez.
Oh.
And DK Vine's also on Patreon, too.
Oh, yeah, we are. I was going to skip that one because I could feel you getting restless, Jeff. But yeah, we're on Patreon, dkvine.com/Patreon. And that helps keep the lights on. I pay for the site with that money. So thank you. Thank you for enabling us. Patrons.
Yeah, but buying the shirts does that too, and then you get a shirt.
Yeah, but we don't get a huge cut from those shirts. So really, the Patreon is the vital thing here. The shirts give us some lunch money.
So, what Mario movie, right? They've got minions in it or what?
No, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the minions make some little cutesy cameo appearance in the background. Like, there might be a scene where Bowser is like, bring forth my minions, and then like little yellow guy runs out, and he's like, "Whoop, you didn't mean me," and then he runs away.
One of their catchphrases, they say banana, and Donkey Kong, as we know on this podcast, he likes bananas, so they could have a little repartee.
Do you think there'll be a scene where Donkey Kong rips the skin off a minion and eats its delicious innards?
It's not what I said, but yes.
Okay. I'm gonna put that in the maybe column. I don't know like how.
If he rips open a minion and eats it, we call that filet mignon.
I don't honestly know how self-indulgent Illumination is going to get with this movie, given that they have to play nice with Nintendo, given the leash they must be on with, Miyamoto and Nintendo overseeing every aspect of this. So, maybe they would allow it. Maybe they'll get a little reference there in the background. I don't think we're going to see, the gorilla from Sing in this. I don't.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one. I didn't like that film.
Then again, we have like thousands of made up Kongs in the background of these arena shots and in these massive Mario Kart armies. So I could see them also sneaking that little gorilla dude in the background from the movie Sing.
Make a minion or bust.
Okay, well, we'll see which cameo gets in there. But yeah, so like I said, this is between the first full-length trailer and the final trailer. And the final trailer is going to premiere March 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. They're doing the whole like Nintendo Direct live stream of it. So we're not going to talk about that on this episode. That'll be another conversation coming up in the next few weeks. But for now, I wanted to focus on the little things that have come out since that second trailer, since we got our first look at Donkey Kong and all of the other background Kongs like Swanky and Diddy and Dixie. Since that conversation where we discussed all of it, there's been a little bit here and there. And I'm going to start us off with the television spot where we first heard Donkey Kong's voice. And this was actually labeled Smash. That was what the TV spot was called. You can watch it on YouTube. You don't need a TV to watch this at all. That's the beauty of living in 2023. And this is kind of like a little bit of an extended scene from the second trailer where Donkey Kong is beating the hell out of Mario's face, because that's where it cuts off in the first full-length trailer. But here we get a little bit more context thrown into the end of the 30-second spot, where Mario, to fight Donkey Kong, he goes jumping up to a question mark block, a power-up block, and he gets the bell. The bell from, I guess it's the new Super Mario Brothers games that turn you into a kitty cat.
No, it's Mario 3D World. Super Mario 3D World.
See, I don't know what I'm talking about here. This is why you're here, being the Mario expert.
I am the Mario expert. I played a couple minutes of Mario 3D World.
Yeah, a couple minutes. That was a couple minutes more than I played. That's not true. I played it at a Best Buy or something once. But yeah, he turns into Kitty Cat Mario, and Donkey Kong starts laughing uproariously because apparently Mario's emasculated himself by turning into a Whittle kitty cat. And Donkey Kong thinks that's hilarious. Which I'm not really on board with that level of humor, Jeff. I gotta be honest. It's like, really? Like, I guess they're going with like Donkey Kong being the stereotypical 80s jock from the High School movie, from like the John Hughes movie. I don't know. But yeah, he doubles back in laughter and he says, "Oh, you got the kitty cat one," or whatever. And then he goes stone face and he says, "Now you die." And he punches Mario.
Yeah, well, I like that part.
I did like that part, yeah, and I don't know if this is an intentional reference, because, Donkey Kong punches a lot of things, and he's punched a lot of things over the years, but the way it was framed was very reminiscent of the Donkey Kong Country cartoon opening, the very end of it where Donkey Kong punches you, the viewer, and then the Donkey Kong Country logo comes up, I don't know if that was an intentional homage or if it's just, hey, Donkey Kong punches K. Rool, Donkey Kong punches the moon. Let's just have Donkey Kong punch Mario and let's frame it like this. Could be a coincidence, although given the level of other media references that we'll be talking about later in this episode, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're going for.
Yeah, I also want to comment on this part. I saw a lot of people, internet people, not real people. They're not human. They're making the comment when they would see us. They saw this trailer in Donkey Kong, who's voiced by Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen?
Seth Rogen. He's laughing. And all the people on the net, on the web, said, "Oh my God, he did the laugh. Haha, it's the Seth Rogen laugh." Which is like a meme because Seth Rogen laughs sometimes, and it's always the same. I just wanted to say, I wanted to get the record straight. He did not do the laugh. No. He laughed, but I've heard the Seth Rogen laugh, and this wasn't it. This was not the laugh. Seth Rogen's laugh when he does the laugh is like, like, and this was not that. He was like kind of wheezing, like, like that. That's different. It's not the laugh.
Right.
Shut up.
Yeah, I think people are so desperate for like the very obvious low-hanging fruit to immediately come true that they will just, glom onto something and be like, "Oh, there it is. We got it. We won."
It's just memes. It's people like memes.
Yeah.
He will do the laugh in the movie because that's just how Seth Rogen sounds. But who cares? It's not.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I have to say, like, I honestly don't care. I don't give a shit that Seth Rogen is voicing Donkey Kong, to be quite honest. Like, whatever. I hope he does a good performance, but it really, like, I don't need him to just bring Seth Rogen qualities to it. I want him to do a good job for the character as written. Whether or not that matches up with my ideal of Donkey Kong, it probably won't, but I wanted to, at the very least, tell a good story, and I don't want him to just do, like, the very lazy, cheap way a lot of celebrities cash in on these type of movies, where they just voice themselves, cash a paycheck, and move on to their next project. Like, put some effort into it.
Well, before we move on, let me just ask you then, we got our first kind of glimpse of his voice as Donkey Kong. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, so, not what I was expecting, but also not the worst case scenario either. I think what I like about it, and Cameron brought this up in our Discord chat, we were discussing it, what Cameron really likes about it, and I kind of concur, is that Donkey Kong just sounds like a guy. He just sounds a dude, whether that's Seth Rogen or not, whatever, but...
He's not doing stupid talk.
He's not doing stupid caveman talk like Donkey all confused, oh, me dummy, and that's not the way you need to go with Donkey Kong, especially to make him a viable character in the minds of the public. Like, you could do, like, the Hulk smash Donkey Kong, or you could just have him be a fully fleshed out character, and I think what makes Donkey Kong appealing to me from Donkey Kong Country onward is that, yeah, he's a gorilla. He's got brute force, but he's also just a regular person underneath all that. He's a human being in gorilla skin, and I think that's kind of what makes the character pop for me. That's the weird dichotomy of Donkey Kong that makes him relatable while also, being able to serve that function of being the brute force character. Sometimes a big oaf, but, where games and media adaptations really make a pratfall, they lean too heavily in on him being a gorilla and equate that with being dumb, which gorillas are, like, one of the smartest animals, like, fuck off. But, yeah, he's just sounds like a regular guy, whether or not they're going for the jock in the high school movie vibe with him. Too early to say, but I like that he's not putting on the, ooga ooga me Tarzan voice. So
yeah, I think all the same things you just said. So yeah.
So moving on, we've got new character posters, Jeff. We got they went hog wild with this. Like in a span of a week, they released a new character poster for practically every major lead in this movie. And we already had the Donkey Kong character poster that came out on the day of the full-length trailer. That's the one where he's posing with the barrel in the Coliseum, and we can see Diddy, Dixie, Swanky, and Cranky in the background. And we already had that, but we got a second Donkey Kong poster out of this deal. And it is Donkey Kong smashing a barrel over his head, and apparently there were bananas inside the barrel, and he's making it rain bananas. But what's really interesting about this Donkey Kong poster for the Donkey Kong fans out there is that I think this is our best look at the exterior of Donkey Kong Island or the Congo jungle, or however they're going to define it in this movie. I'm not really sure. But it's our best look thus far of what the kind of jungle itself is going to look like.
Yeah, and there's some cool little landmarks to focus in on. Obviously, we've already seen this sort of golden temple type architecture with the big golden monkey heads and the kind of golden archways with bananas on them. It's all like taken basically straight from Donkey Kong Country Returns style temples.
It is, I think, at the very end of that golden temple stage in Donkey Kong Country Returns, you see this golden monkey head monument, and they took that and they recreated it for the Donkey Kong Country expansion for Super Nintendo World in Osaka, and currently under construction right now in Orlando, Florida.
Also the kind of set piece of the Mario Kart track that Retro Studios helped develop for Mario Kart 7.
I actually don't know if the monkey head itself is in the DK Jungle track. But the golden...
not the monkey head necessarily, but as the temple-style architecture that this is reminiscent of. The framing around, the kind of the little details etched into the gold and all that. Right. It's all very similar.
Yeah, they're just really running with this monkey head as like the Donkey Kong Island iconography. And we'll be talking about it a little bit later as well when we talk about another character poster, or rather multi-character poster. But yeah, I like the way it looks here. I like that you got the waterfall kind of coming out of its mouth. That's a nice little touch. But Donkey Kong is standing on, well, he's standing near, I guess I should say, a series of piers out on the water, out on the ocean. And we got some interesting beach cabanas scattered around the pier. They look mildly similar to Donkey Kong's like jungle hut from the retro games, but they're a little bit more visually distinct. Like they've got the thatched straw roofs, but they're more cabana style, like you'd see at a beach resort, where you get a nice mixed drink with a little umbrella in it.
It's more what I think of as island architecture than necessarily just like jungle architecture.
Right. The actual jungle hut, and Dustin and I discussed all of Donkey Kong's tree houses for 4 hours last season, so you can go back and listen to that. But the jungle hut from Returns is actually more African style architecture, while this is more sort of I guess it's popped up in the Pacific Islands, but also you'll see it in the Caribbean too. I'm not really sure where this originated, but anyway, yeah, it's usually in a tropical beach or anywhere where you have people looking to get away from it all, like the Beach Boys song Kokomo from the movie Cocktails.
Okay. Yes, and so along these docks, we also see Kongs kind of going to and fro on I call them Mario Karts, but I think in the canon of this movie, I think that the carts originate from the Kongs because it seems to be their main mode of transportation.
Absolutely. I think we already speculated on this before, but I think these posters really make it abundantly clear that the concept of Mario Karts within the canon of the movie originate on Donkey Kong Island. They are a karting society. And whether or not, Funky Kong is responsible for them here remains to be seen. But it's clear that this is where Mario, Peach, and Toad get the carts, and they lead this massive army of Kongs from Donkey Kong Island across the Rainbow Road to the next stage of the movie. And I like that. I think that's a clever bit of recontextualization for how you can bring Mario Karts into the Mario movie in a natural way. Okay, well, where do the carts come from? Where does that originate from? If you're going to try to distill all of Mario history in 90 minutes, how do you do that in a succinct way? And, well, what is Donkey Kong primarily associated with Mario these days? Mario Kart. So let's tie it together. Let's make it work. And, it's kind of fun, too, because carts play such a large role in Donkey Kong fandom because we got Diddy Kong Racing and Timbers Island. So it's kind of cool to see. I like this take. It differs from the actual canon, but so will a lot of things in this movie. We got to get over it. So yeah, it's a clever spin on things.
I think that if the carts just originated from the Mushroom Kingdom, like the Mario, the Peach's castle and Toad side of the world, they would be a little out of place because there's nothing else in that kingdom that is like mechanical, really.
Yeah,
it's all a little bit more whimsical, and so for them to just have like carts and engines and grease and stuff, it feels a little out of place. But for the Kongs to have them, it's a fun take on kind of all the things they've ever done with Funky Kong's character as this kind of like tinkering mechanic.
Yeah. And
I think that it's a good trope to have the apes on the secluded island just tinkering with old engines and tinkering with mechanics, and they just run around on these kind of makeshift souped up carts. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. Well, we also see in the background of this poster winding minecart tracks going in and out of the mountainside. And look, obviously, there's going to be a lot of synergy between this movie and Super Nintendo World because both are Universal products. Universal is distributing this movie. Universal, of course, Universal Studios Park. But so you're going to see a lot of things from the upcoming Donkey Kong Country section of the parks in this movie. So it doesn't surprise me that they're putting in minecarts in the background. Whether or not we're going to get any sequences on Donkey Kong Island in the minecarts remains to be seen. But I could even see this be like sort of a situation where they mine the materials for the carts from these mines, I don't know.
They clearly have to get gold from somewhere because so much of the temple stuff is like crafted out of gold.
Yeah.
I mean, it remains to be seen if that temple stuff is ancient or contemporary. But one of the things that strikes me with their depiction in this movie is that, Cranky is dressed in like a headdress, like an emperor, and they've got this. They're not treating the temple and kind of ritualistic parts. They're not treating it like it's ancient history that they're living amongst. They're kind of treating it like it's their current culture, that they have these temples and they have an emperor with a headdress and a ceremonial robes or whatever. It's a different take on the Kongs than we've seen. Whereas in the games, most of the time, the temples are around, but they're just kind of like, oh yeah, these are old temples that are here. We don't use them. They're ancient. We just live amongst them. But in this, it feels like it might be a contemporary part of their culture. And if that's the case, then maybe they're mining gold from some of these mines because they use gold to make the temples. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. In the games, a lot of this Golden Temple style architecture, as we call it, seems to be implied to be a byproduct of the ancient Tiki-Tak tribe. There's some correlation there. But the Kongs themselves are a more modern society, right? They've left all of those trappings behind. They play video games and argue about them online. And, Cranky is just dressed in a modest vest. And, he's not really about all of these ancient trappings. But here in the movie, it is a little bit different, where it's more of a contemporary part of Kong society. And that raises the question, we had the theory that given that in the promotional Brooklyn stuff, there seems to be allusions to perhaps an invasion of escaped zoo apes. There's graffiti that says New Donk City, and we had the idea perhaps that in the movie Cranky is an escaped gorilla from the zoo, and he leads an army of other primates to rampage across Brooklyn, and sort of like a Thor Ragnarok situation where the Bifrost sends Thor and Loki to Jeff Goldblum's planet, but at different points in time. So Loki arrives there weeks or months before Thor does.
Tim Burton, Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So there's the theory that Cranky starts off as a regular zoo gorilla, and he gets sucked into the mushroom dimension along with Mario and Luigi, but he arrives there years before they do and sets up this society on this island and evolves into the Kongs as we vaguely know them, developing hyper-intelligence and, So I still think that might happen.
I've been running that with since the first trailer, that this is a Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. The ape that went through the portal first or whatever ends up just time displaced, and it then sets up the whole society. It also kind of has shades of The Flash in DC Universe lore with Gorilla Grodd creating the ape city. I don't remember the name of everything, but there's an ape city that was created by Gorilla Grodd, who is just a smart monkey.
Brace yourself, Jeff. It's called Gorilla City.
I thought it was Ape City.
No.
Damn it. There goes my cred.
No, Ape City is stupid. Gorilla City is clever.
Yeah, I'm a fool. But it will be interesting to see how they play that out with the lore, because that would obviously be a very different take on Donkey Kong lore, because it implies that there is no ancient history to the Kongs, because they are a fresh new society that's developed in the past several decades, which would kind of a lot of how the Kongs are depicted kind of fits into that in general, because they don't have a lot of super permanent structures. They're very makeshift. They're very, everything is a little bit handcrafted. And so that would make sense that it's this is not a society that's been here 1,000 years. We're just kind of we set up shop and have just been chilling for a few decades.
Yeah, it's kind of just the screenwriter that still lives within my brain. If I was to have all of my emotional attachment to Donkey Kong or even Mario lore stripped from me, and I was tasked with taking all of that nonsense and breaking it down into a 90-minute movie that somehow honors the history but makes it digestible and into a workable movie, then how do you tie Donkey Kong and Mario's shared origin together while still setting up all of the Donkey Kong Country stuff? This is kind of a fun way to do it, right? The Tim Burton Planet of the Apes thing, where they have this shared origin point in Brooklyn, and then they diverge from here, and Kong Society sets up. And I like it. I like it for the movie. I wouldn't really like it if that became the canon of the games, but for a movie, I think it works.
And we both wholeheartedly recommend everyone to go watch the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes movie. There's nothing wrong with it, right?
I've actually only seen it once, and I don't remember anything except the ending.
No. Well, at least it has Paul Giamatti, so we like that. I did want to point out, before we move on from this poster, I wanted to point out that the minecart tracks are suspended by red girder.
Oh.
So that is another thing. I think that also we kind of saw in the Smash trailer, in the first trailer, where Mario and Donkey Kong fight each other in the arena, is also on a red girder.
Yeah.
So they're just kind of doing a mishmash of imagery, which again is what you would do in an adaptation like this. They're kind of layering in imagery and inspirations from various parts of Donkey Kong lore. But yeah, just red girders being common. It's a mixing of kind of the arcade game mixed with the country levels. You know, obviously in the games, the minecarts are not suspended by red girders, but why couldn't they be? It's a good detail. So yeah, pointing that out. And I also wanted to point out, I like the art style on the jungle and how it is not the exact same, like the trees and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not the exact same Donkey Kong Country Returns art style that we've seen 40 times since that game came out. Like that standardized, flanderized look for Donkey Kong Island. This does take inspiration with the temple stuff, but the actual art style on the trees and everything, it's a different look, and I like it.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Pandora from the Avatar movies. Just in well, maybe it's the floating islands that we see across Rainbow Road that, you know, supposedly links Donkey Kong Island to wherever else. But yeah, I like it. It's evocative enough of the games, but it's its own unique take. I don't have an issue with it. Speaking of the Rainbow Road, though, there was another poster that was released like the same week as the Donkey Kong one that focuses on Peach on a motorcycle, leading the charge on Rainbow Road, and she is followed by something like a dozen and a half Kongs, just random generated Kongs for this movie.
One of them is Bluster.
Yeah, no. I've seen a lot of people online try to assign identities to these Kongs. And I'm just like, yeah, these are all made up Kongs. Like, I get it. I get what you want to do here, because it was so exciting to see Swanky Kong on that poster, and we want to have that feeling again. But these all seem to be original creations here. Like, I still like the one Whiteford gorilla with the headband on it. People were like, that's Eddie the Mean Old Yeti. Like, no, it's not. Where are you getting that from? Eddie the Mean Old Yeti wore a, like, toboggan on his head. This is a headband, a sweatband. What? Anyway, that's, you know, let me get off my soapbox here. I'll let people have their fun if they want to. But I do really like these wholly invented Kongs to fill out the backgrounds here, because it's been a long time coming to get this level of population growth for Donkey Kong Island. You know, usually when they need to fill out the background in games like this, and it's not, you know, often that we see this. I think in games like Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, we would get the Hurley monkeys, right? They invented monkeys to just kind of populate the sidelines of the racetracks. Of course, Jungle Beat had the capuchins, the party monkeys, however you want to call them, helper monkeys. And games like Mario Kart Double Dash just used repurposed sprites of Donkey Kong Jr. to fill out some crowd scenes. But here we have every single character is their own unique Kong. And some of them, you know, reuse different elements, like they'll be wearing similar hats, like bucket hats and what have you, but they all look individual, and I really like that. Yeah, no, it's great. And it's just the kind of detail that, on the one hand, I'm almost surprised we've never seen anything do this. Yeah.
On the other hand, I get that games kind of are under a budget and they don't have an infinite character, you know, and if time to make all these characters. But even just the idea of just like make a bunch of generic Kongs and then give them a randomized assortment of clothes or something. Like they've never done anything like that. And it feels almost overdue because we know that Donkey Kong Island is a bustling, populated island but the backgrounds are always just devoid of characters. So that's cool. It's cool. It's cool that they're featured so prominently in this movie. I didn't think Donkey Kong would really even hardly be in the movie, but yeah it's sweet. And apparently they all have missiles. So that's neat. They've invented rocket technology. Yeah,
if you look at the designs of these carts, a lot of them have like sort of barrels affixed to them. A lot of them are reminiscent of the banana cannons in the Mario Kart games. I know it's in Mario Kart Tour where, you know, it's the absolute worst item, and Diddy and Funky both utilize it, but it shoots out the banana peels. Some of them resemble the DK Jumbo, you know, the cart from Mario Kart Double Dash that's just a big barrel. But yeah, it's cool that like the Kongs are rocking such massive hardware going into battle here. I like you said, I didn't expect Donkey Kong to have such a prominent role in this movie. Like all we knew was Donkey Kong and Cranky Kong were going to be in it, and Cranky Kong was revealed alongside Kamek and Foreman Spike. So you think, oh, they're going to do like this origin little interlude, and I thought maybe Donkey Kong would just then be in the end credits scene to kind of set up something for the future, whether that be the rumored Donkey Kong movie or not. I didn't think Donkey Kong would take up the whole like middle act of the film, you know, and kind of set up the climax, which, you know, again, not how I would have done it, but I'm not upset about it. I think it's neat, and it really puts a spotlight on this whole notion of Kongs. Which is Rare's radical reinvention of the Donkey Kong mythos in 1994. But look at the staying power it has.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. And again, there's going to be some cameos in there. We know that Swanky Kong, but also we're going to probably have to deal with, for years after the movie comes out, people saying this guy in the background of this thing is definitely
right.
Reed's notes. Bluster Kong.
Bluster Kong is going to be the big one people are going to be trying to get in there, especially because everybody's tasted the blood in the water from the Super Show references. Like the ocean has been chummed, Jeff, and now it's a feeding frenzy. But yeah, like I would not be upset if some of these designs made their way into the games. If like you took one of these bucket hat wearing weirdos and you turned that into a full-fledged Kong character for a future game, that would be fun. I don't mind this whatsoever. I mean, look at how we, as a fan community, have long celebrated that stupid render of that unused Kong from Donkey Kong Land that we call Hat Kong, Commuter Kong, whatever. He's just this naked Kong wearing a hat with an outie belly button. And we were like, I love that guy. I mean, this is what we thrive on, is just an abundance of characters.
Now, you bring up the belly button, and before we move on, I did want to point out on the Donkey Kong poster.
Yeah.
No belly button?
No belly button, which means
what is he?
He was probably
he's Kyle XY.
I was gonna say he was grown in a laboratory, and I think
no nipples either.
Yeah, so I think what they're gonna go with is this Donkey Kong the son of Cranky Kong, the grandson of Cranky Kong? No, he's the clone of Cranky Kong, and he raised him as his son.
Yes, Cranky Kong, as we know from the lore of the games, is a scientist. He has test tubes, so.
What do you do when you have test tubes? You make a new version of you. It's just what you do.
You jizz in there and you wait and see what happens.
Right.
So the next poster.
The next poster just was unveiled the other day. It was actually kind of a dual announcement when they announced the final trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie coming March 9th. And at the same time, Illumination blasted this across social media. And it's kind of a group shot of, I guess, all of the major characters who visit Donkey Kong Island and then depart Donkey Kong Island. All of the characters with known voice actors voicing them. So you got Mario, you've got Peach, you've got Toad, and you've got Donkey Kong, and you've got Cranky Kong. And they're all riding their individual carts or bikes on the Rainbow Road, departing Donkey Kong Island. Like the Peach poster, we've got the floating Pandora Islands in the sky, which I'm curious about those. I'm curious what they convey, if they're actually a part of Donkey Kong Island, or if it's some sort of like interdimensional space between the realms of this mushroom world. Because, you know, in that first full-length trailer, they talked about galaxies. And we thought, is that a Super Mario Galaxy reference, or are they viewing the mushroom dimension less as a singular realm and more of a collection of realms? And the Rainbow Road is kind of the bleed between them. I don't know.
Bifrost. It's all Thor. It all goes to Thor.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know what the actual in-movie logic behind the floating islands are, but it fascinates me. It's keeping me really watching everything closely to see if I can figure it out before the movie itself. But yeah, let's talk about Donkey Kong's cart, and let's talk about Cranky Kong's cart, because we've seen Donkey Kong's cart obviously in that full-length trailer, although it was a bit blurrier there. And we've seen both of these on Happy Meal toys, I think from Australia. I don't know if they made their way to the States. I don't eat at McDonald's, Jeff, so I don't know. I'm a vegan. They don't make Donkey Kong toys for vegans, apparently.
So the toys that came out in the West are different than the toys that came out in Australia. Though I guess they're like little paper figures, and they look a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Australia one had a Cranky Kong, but the rest of us got different toys, and it is not a Cranky Kong. But yeah, which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about Donkey Kong, because that's the one that we've seen the most. Obviously, he's got the rocket barrels, the dual rocket barrels from Retro's Donkey Kong Country games affixed to the back of it as kind of a jet propulsion system, which I really love. I love that they brought them over and recreated them faithfully. And the card itself seems to be a new creation. I don't recognize it from anything in any of the games. I don't know if it's homaging anything or not, but there is a curious little emblem on the middle of it where the car manufacturer would be. Do you recognize what that emblem is, Jeff?
Yeah, Mama didn't raise no dummy. That's Rambi the Rhino's icon from the crates in Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Yeah, it's a faithful recreation of his Animal Buddy emblem from those games. And I've seen some people get worried, weirdly, about this, because they look at the rocket barrels, the Rambi emblem, the Golden Temple head, and they say, you know, they're bringing so much from the retro games in. They're apparently keeping that stuff around even as we enter this new era of Donkey Kong, purportedly under development at EPD. And people are saying, hey, if they're keeping all of this iconography, this doesn't bode well for the Kremlings or any of these other classic characters. I'm like, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Like, I understand your fears, and I know as a fandom, we are conditioned to always fear the worst. It's that buyout era mentality that we locked ourselves into early and often. But them keeping the retro visual elements around does not mean anything about, you know, keeping them from bringing back classic rare elements. We've already seen Swanky Kong in his DKC3 getup in the poster here. This has no bearing on any of that. The reason they are keeping Retro's iconography is because the theme park started development shortly after Tropical Freeze came out. And because of that, there needs to be brand synergy with theme park, so they're bringing it into the movie, which will then reflect back into the games. It doesn't mean that King K. Rool can't show up anymore.
I don't have a problem with it, other than I think it's a little ugly. I don't like that icon for Rambi.
Oh, I don't either, but I also don't have any issue with them standardizing everything from 2010 onward. Like,
no, that's fine.
What I don't like is this constant need to reinvent the world of Donkey Kong every time a new studio takes over. I'm like, can we just stop? Can we just pick a look and go with it? And it's been the problem with Donkey Kong ever since the buyout, because Donkey Kong's not had a stable home. So even though it was Retro who really laid the groundwork for a lot of this, they recontextualized a lot of the things Rare did, made it their own. I don't have a problem with it sticking around, because we just need to stop reinventing Donkey Kong at a certain point. So that's great. It doesn't mean that King K. Rool can't come back. Look, King K. Rool's already come back. I don't know if you realize it. He was in a little game called Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. He wouldn't have been brought back in that game if there was some sort of edict that they could never use him. They brought him back because they saw the fan demand. They brought him back because they realized that Donkey Kong fans really like King K. Rool. So he's going to be sticking around. They're going to dive into the past wherever they see it appropriate. So that means bringing back Swanky Kong? Yeah, absolutely. Kiddy Kong? Sure. We're in a really new golden era of Donkey Kong where everything's on the table. And I think that's really exciting. Like, yes, it's going to visually resemble Returns in Tropical Freeze from here on out, but they can dust off anything they want to and bring it back. And we're going to have new characters too. So it's never going to be like it was during Rare's golden heyday with Donkey Kong. We're never going to get back to that, but I think we can get to a new status quo that will please as many people as possible. So
yeah, and on this poster you can see Cranky Kong's feet. we like that.
Yeah, Cranky Kong is showing off the goods here, not even charging us for it. Usually you have to go to OnlyFans to get this level of service. But yeah, Cranky's gripping the he's got like a tricycle he's driving, like a tripod really, but he's gripping it with his feet. His feet are gripping it like they were hands, which is cool to see. And this is a very like regal sort of carriage he's driving. It's got the Golden Temple head sort of in the middle, serving as sort of the headlamp on it. And it's got like this big illustrious like palm. It almost looks like a crown against his own crown. I don't know. It's just layers upon layers of regalness.
Yeah. He looks like he's having a good time. I like his hat. I like his beard. I like that his beard doesn't look like a solid plastic, Play-Doh. But yeah, no, he looks good. I like Cranky Kong.
I like the the 3 emeralds set in the handles of his bike.
Yeah,
like each handle has these, or they're bejeweled, and it's just so over the top, which is I think befitting Cranky in this movie. I've seen some concern that Cranky might be a little out of character because Cranky is at his heart just a curmudgeon who hates everything, and here he's like this jungle emperor, and he's just all about the trappings of that. But I think that fits Cranky pretty well.
Yeah, no, we the thing is, I feel like we just we don't have enough to judge him on it. Anyone who says he's out of character, it's like, based on what?
Right.
Like, you haven't even seen the movie yet. So, no, I think there's still plenty of room for him to be himself while stepping into this new kind of role that they're having him serve. And I think, again, with the sort of what we've theorized with maybe what the backstory is, I think it's all going to kind of work for the context of this movie.
Yeah. And I think, like, he's still called Cranky Kong, so you're going to have to work in a little bit of bitchiness from him. So, he's not gonna just be some benign, soft-bellied, dainty king. He's going to still have some of that edge to him.
Mario shows up, and the first thing Cranky Kong does is just like, all right, off with his head. Like, Fuck this guy. That's what's gonna happen. And then, but it's gonna be trial by combat, and Donkey Kong's gonna kick his ass until he turns into a kitty, and then he's gonna kick Donkey Kong's ass, probably. And then they're gonna team up and ride go-karts. It's a classic trope. I'm excited for it. And also we did get a little glimpse of his voice in one of those little TV spots, and I get, like I said before, I feel like we just don't have enough to judge any of it by. Like, I don't have enough of his voice to judge his voice. I don't have enough of his depiction to judge his character traits. We'll just have to wait and see, really.
Yeah, I didn't even bring up the voice because I don't feel like we've had enough to go off of to really piece it together. So I'm going to like refrain from having any judgment on that until we hear more of it. But yeah, so far I'm really happy with the way Cranky looks in this movie. I think that it works for his character, especially this take on his character. And I wouldn't mind seeing him in this getup in one of the games, honestly.
Yeah, it's a cool alternate outfit. And again, you know, anyone who has an issue with the different take, did you play Rare's games? Like, every game, every character had like a different take. Like,
yeah.
Cranky Kong was a scientist. Funky Kong was the military-industrial complex. Like, they're allowed to put on different outfits. It doesn't change anything.
Right. And Cranky's always had a bit of a god complex anyway, so why not run with that for his first appearance in a major motion picture? Sure.
I wonder if they're gonna keep the fourth wall breaking aspect of his character. I kind of think, at least in the Mario movie, there won't even be time or room for it. It won't be natural. But if they do make a Donkey Kong movie, I would love Cranky Kong to break the fourth wall. But that's kind of early to speculate.
Yeah, he'll talk about how movies aren't as good as they were when he was in Pixels, starring Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that was a movie. All right, so there is some merchandise out there leaking,
because it's not actually in stores yet, and I don't even know when they're actually releasing this merchandise, because usually movie merchandise comes out a couple months before the movie does, but I haven't heard anything official as to when they're dropping all the tie-in goods for the Super Mario Brothers movie. But people are taking little pictures here and there. They're sneaking out, and yeah, we've seen some various toys and action figures from the usual license holders like Jakks Pacific. But what I want to talk about is a leaked Hot Wheels set that ties into our interest, in that it is the very first Hot Wheels Mario Kart set to take place on Donkey Kong Island. It is, well, it's got two different names, because on the actual SKU, which is, the SKU is like the barcode that stores use for inventory purposes and to ring it up, and that's what it's going to be called on your receipt when you buy it. And it's called the Mario Kart Kong Tracks set on the SKU, but on the actual box it seems to be called the Jungle Kingdom Raceway.
Yes, and that kind of makes sense in terms of the plot of the movie, which appears to be Bowser traveling from location to location, stealing the power stars that each location is presumably charged with protecting. And
yeah.
When he collects all the power stars, he gets to do bad guy stuff. And if that is the case, it seems that each one is called a kingdom. You have a Mushroom Kingdom, you have the Ice, or the Penguin Kingdom, whatever that will be called, the Yoshi Kingdom, presumably, and the Jungle Kingdom. That's probably the nomenclature that the movie will go with.
Right.
But places can have more than one name. What the Mushroom people call Jungle Kingdom could be a location that houses Kong Island, or the Congo Jungle, or whatever the Kongs call it.
Yeah, and this is, once again, utilizing that Golden Temple monkey head. Very similar to what we saw in the Donkey Kong poster. It's got the waterfall coming out of its mouth. And here it mixes the beach cabana style huts, and it comes with Mario. Mario, as he appears in the movie on his cart, and you can launch him up across the waterfall through the Golden Temple mouth back down the track. Which, I'm going to get this set because, look, I have the Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong Hot Wheels just rattling about in my office. I'll get this set and display them on it. Why not? It looks cool. I'm not, a grown man who plays with Hot Wheels sets often, but you put one out that takes me to Donkey Kong Island, or whatever the movie calls it. I'm going to buy it because I'm a sucker. I'm a fanboy. I'm a Mark. I'm a gullible fool who will part with his money at any given opportunity if you throw Donkey Kong on it.
Yeah, and once again, we see the red girder framework holding up the tracks and stuff. So, yeah, the mishmash of visuals, it's good. It looks fine. I'm not going to get this. It's what, $40? If I had $40, I'd spend it on Clive and Wrench, and then the problem with that would be then I would have no bucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I wouldn't have $40.
It is $40, which seems a little bit outrageous considering the quality of the plastic. I'm sure it's probably just so cheaply made, but that's what inflation gets. No, but
the cart is die cast. This is heavy duty stuff. It just makes me glad I'm not a father figure having to buy toys for children because they sound expensive.
Makes me glad I'm not 5 years old anymore, because, back when I was 5 years old, toys didn't cost this much, so it wasn't that much of a hassle to beg your parents for something. Now, I don't know how kids do it.
I didn't get any toys. I had one of those rugs with the city on it, but you just had to imagine the car. We didn't get to have a car, and then the dog took a shit on it, so we had to get rid of the rug.
Yeah, which is a shame because that rug doubled as your shoes. You'd have to wrap it around your feet and hop around.
Be careful. I was taking a sip of Coca-Cola and it made me choke a little on it. Yeah, this is cool. It is odd that the car included is Mario. I would think that if they're doing this set, they probably are doing maybe other sets. And if they're doing multiple sets for Hot Wheels with Mario, then I would think like, okay, well, this set gets a Mario, this set gets a Donkey Kong, this set gets fucking Toad or whatever. But no, they're not doing that. Maybe they just put Mario in it, which is fine.
It is odd. Like, granted, the consistency of Hot Wheels and the character they pack into these sets isn't always stellar. Like, the Donkey Kong pack-in set for the traditional Mario Kart line was a chain chomp set where Chain Chomp swivels around and bites you. And I'm like, why is Donkey Kong included with this? Whatever. But yeah, like if they make a Cranky Kong Hot Wheel character, that would be exciting. I would definitely buy that. You would think that would be the sensible pack-in given the architecture here. But nope, it's Mario.
Yeah, I don't have any more to say about Hot Wheels.
No, that's the only leaked piece of merchandise I want to discuss. There's also other stuff out there like a fire-breathing Bowser that like works like a little smoke machine. That's kind of cool, but I don't really care about that because it's not Donkey Kong, is it?
Yeah, there was fire-breathing Donkey Kong. What the hell?
So, that's it for Donkey Kong. That's all I really want to discuss as far as Donkey Kong and Cranky Kong and the Jungle Kingdom goes in this episode. But self-indulgently, I do want to discuss the piece of marketing that is singing the most in my mind. This is the best piece of the media rollout for this movie thus far, in my opinion. And that is the entire tie-in with the Super Mario Brothers plumbing in-universe ads and website.
Yeah, this was this revealed for the Super Bowl, right? This was a Super Bowl ad?
Yes,
well, a cut-down version of it.
Yeah, it went up on the weekend of the Super Bowl. I believe it played during the Super Bowl. I didn't watch the Super Bowl, Jeff. You'll have to enlighten me.
I did, and I didn't see it, but okay. I could have missed it. I don't see everything on the screen all the time. I was drinking. But, yeah, no, I don't know if it played actually on the television. It might have just been one of those ones that are only on the computer.
Yeah. So this in-universe commercial also went up with their website, the Super Mario Brothers Plumbing website. Let's talk about the commercial first, because this is actually pretty funny. I was amazed at the comic timing in this. And I'm like, if the whole movie is this well edited, I'm going to like this movie. Because this made me laugh. It is just the type of comedy that I really go for, in that it is just dry enough, yet being super obvious for the kids, right? Like, this is a low-budget local commercial filmed for Super Mario Brothers Plumbing, and it's got all the little hallmarks of a low-budget ad. It's got, like, this... I don't know if this is supposed to be, like, looking like it's shot on VHS or just the super, like, low-res digital camera or something, but it looks cheap. I mean, it's done in the animation style of the movie, but it just looks visually wonky. And it's Mario and Luigi drive into some woman in Brooklyn's house who's got an overflowing sink, and they're like, hey, we're here to fix your sink. They have their wrench and their plunger, they fix the sink, and she says, and she's very obviously reading this script they wrote for her, where she says, thank you, Mario Brothers. What's the line? The only thing that you didn't drain is my bank account.
Yes, that's the line.
Yeah. Which made me laugh. I was like, that's good writing right there. That's Oscar worthy right there. But what really got people talking about this commercial was that they used the Super Mario Brothers Super Show Mario rap.
Yeah.
Which this was the exact Mario rap. They just reused it from the opening theme song to the classic Deke cartoon / live action extravaganza that aired weekday afternoons in syndication. And Jeff, look, this is the Mario and Luigi of my childhood. So, of course, I was going to love every minute of this. This resonated with me, and I think a lot of my contemporaries. It was great. It was great.
Having been born in the late 2000s, it's a little before my time. No, I love the Super Show. I also grew up in the era where Mario's lore wasn't so streamlined, and there was the air of all of that early lore that had not yet been kind of swept under the rug, that Mario and Luigi came from Brooklyn. They grew up in the world, the real life human world, before somehow Alice in Wonderlanding or Wizard of Ozing themselves off to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
That was the lore that I grew up with and you grew up with, and then this movie obviously is embracing, because this parts of it take place in Brooklyn, which is great. It makes me feel like I'm the old man in Soylent Green that commits suicide in the suicide machine.
Yeah.
And it's just like watching videos of nature and just weeping, like just saying, like, I told you, and the guy's like, how could I have known? I wasn't there. That's what it's like for us. It's like we committed suicide in Soylent Green, the film. That's all I have to say about it.
I really like it because, for me, like, and I've gotten some flack for this because I don't spend a lot of time on our own forum anymore. Like, I pop in from time to time, but I just don't have time to really devote to reply to all the topics I would like to. But when I'm excited about something and I have to talk about it right away, I can't even wait for the podcast, I'll jump into there. And I was going on about how much this commercial really made me like this version of Mario and Luigi, because to me, like, Mario and Luigi work best when they are average blue-collar Joes, right? Like,
yes.
they're not these messiahs who were preordained to save the Mushroom Kingdom because they are star children, or any of that nonsense. I like it when they're just relatable schmucks who are in over their head and somehow muster the courage to save the day. That's the Mario and Luigi I remember and I grew up with. And I was talking about that. And, you know, a lot of people in the DK Vine forum didn't grow up with the Super Show. And they don't like the Super Show. They view the Super Show like I view the Donkey Kong Country cartoon, as an insult to the true Mario lore. And look, the Super Show isn't great shakes. It's not like it's just expertly written children's entertainment. I recognize it was basically trash. But the idea of Mario and Luigi originating in the real world as just plumbers who somehow fell through this portal, this gateway into this magical realm, I think that works the best as the definitive Mario origin. And as the games got away from that in the mid-90s, I felt like Mario became a little soulless. And maybe that's just how I perceived it, but I just felt like, yeah, I don't understand who this guy is anymore. He's just this weirdo cartoon character from the pizza box who goes, hoo hoo, hee hee.
The thing is, without that grounding of an origin story, it's all like nonsense, isn't it? It's like so surreal. I think that when you have a guy running and jumping on turtles and weird little monsters and through this landscape where the hills have eyes, literally, you know, if you put him in that surreal world, that Wonderland-esque surreal landscape, if you have no grounding for it, then like, why is he wear overalls? Why is he a plumber? Why does he have a mustache? Like, it's all nonsense details. But if you have that origin of, well, he was just a plumber and he got dropped into Nightmare Land, then it grounds everything. Then it doesn't matter how surreal you get, because that's the premise. It's a normal guy put in to the fantasy land. But if you don't have that, then it's just like, well, why is he a plumber then? Why does he have overalls? Like, why does he look like that? It's all weird details. They really lost the plot, I think.
they did. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. And I hear all these arguments that, oh, the Brooklyn stuff, that was just made up for Western audiences by Nintendo of America. That was never actual canon. I don't know how much that truth is behind that. I think there is always this element of, oh, Mario is from New York City. You've seen Miyamoto make those quotes before, and we actually talked about it on the last season of the Conversation, that there is actual documentation for Miyamoto discussing this. It wasn't just something that Nintendo of America grafted onto the canon without telling Nintendo of Japan, as so many people seem to have run with. So the fact that Illumination is going with this origin story really makes me more readily on board with the characters of Mario and Luigi as they appear in this film. Yeah, you can make quibbles about, oh, I wish Chris Pratt wasn't voicing him. But at the end of the day, just from pure creative standpoint, I like it. I dig who these people are already. And this low-budget commercial really did endear them to me, because it reminded me of the movie Ghostbusters, when the three original Ghostbusters filmed their local ad, and it's just absolutely terrible. It's got stilted acting. They're just clumsy and obvious, and it's just like, yeah, they're just these idiots trying to run their own business, and they're good at one thing. In this case, plumbing. In that case, catching ghosts. But they're terrible at this. And yeah, I loved it. I loved every little bit of this. And I probably rewatched it about a dozen times on the afternoon of Super Bowl Sunday, just because I was like, I can't believe they've done this. I can't believe...
Yeah, you're like, what else is there to watch?
I don't know if you noticed, Jeff, but there's that little part in the trailer where Mario and Luigi first enter Sink Lady's kitchen. And Mario's clutching a wrench, and Luigi is clutching a plunger, and they're both holding them up. It's very evocative of one of the posters for the 1993 live-action Super Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. Because in that poster, Mario's holding up a wrench and Luigi's holding up a plunger.
Yeah. And Mitchell, our friend Mitchell, has brought this detail up.
Yeah.
The font, the logo for this film, the Super Mario Brothers movie, the words "super" and "movie" are in this silver kind of boxy shaped font that is very reminiscent of the original '90s Mario Brothers movie kind of font. It's silver. It's evocative. It's not exactly the same, but
no.
They definitely are taking influences from all these sources, which would be easy to ignore, but they're not. They're influenced by them.
Yeah, it's really cool that, you know, they're kind of tipping their hat a little bit to previous adaptations of Mario, especially the two that most people will remember in the West, and that's the Super Show and its subsequent sequels, and the live action movie, which I think a lot of people have come around on the latter, at least as far as like this kitschy sort of thing. Like they recognize it for what it is, even if it wasn't what anybody wanted. It's just at the very least an entertaining, surreal adaptation of Super Mario, even though this is obviously going to be far more faithful. One other point I want to address as far as the commercial goes is a lot of people are saying, they're coming up to me, big burly construction workers with tears in their eye, and they're saying, sir, the Sink Lady is voiced by Jeannie Elias, who is the voice actor behind Princess Toadstool in the original Super Show. Like, so many people were saying that when this commercial first surfaced, but there doesn't seem to be actual confirmation behind this. So I don't know if this is just something that people made up, or they said, hey, she sounds like Princess Toadstool in the cartoon. It's the same actor. But it doesn't appear that Illumination or Jeannie Elias have come forward to confirm this fact. So we're going to put that in a maybe column for now.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Before we take the calls, because we got a couple calls from our audience, they also want to discuss all of this stuff. I do want to point out on the Super Mario Brothers website, which can be found at smbplumbing.com. So you can pull that up right now on your preferred browser.
Oh, shit.
All
right. SMB Plumbing.
Oh, wait. Yeah, there it is.
Mine's a little slow. Hold on. Oh, look. There it is. It's on the computer.
Yeah, like it's a real website and everything. But you've got it's designed like a real plumbing website, right? Like now serving Brooklyn and Queens. And there's an actual phone number you can dial, and you'll get a voice message from, I think, Luigi.
It's a 90s throw back in our childhoods. There were these things called sex lines. You could talk on the phone to someone who'd say sexy stuff to you. It's a throwback. They'd answer the phone and say things like oh, I bet your penis is so big, I want you to kiss my butt or whatever. And then your dad would get mad at you because he'd see it on the phone bill. He'd say, who's charging up the phone so bad? So it's one of those. Yeah,
exactly like one of those. But if you scroll down past all of the like accoutrements that make it feel like a real website, you got testimonials. And yeah, so we got 3 testimonials here. We've got a 5-star review from Bro's Mom, who says, the Mario Brothers are the very best in the business. They're polite, professional, adorable, and treated me like family. That's a very rare reference, Jeff, to Mario and Luigi's mother. And
this could be any mom of 2 boys.
That's true.
They don't own the title of bros.
But I think the fact that it's the only 5-star review they have suggests that no, there's a little bit of nepotism going on.
Do you think Mario's mom is hot?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because Mario's mother has only been alluded to in the games. I think you might be able to see her hands in one of the Yoshi's Island games when Mario and Luigi are rescued at the end. But in the Super Show, in the live action segments of the Super Show, Mario's mother was actually portrayed several times, portrayed by Captain Lou in drag.
Yeah. I see it here. It's in the show notes. It's funny.
Yeah, he never even hit his mustache. He just put on like a hairnet and a dress and was like, I'm Mario's mom. And I'd be okay if that's what she looked like. I don't think we're gonna see her in the movie, but if they're embracing the Mario rap, why not go whole hog with it? There's also a testimonial from Foreman Spike, or his name is Spike is Cool. He gives 1 star and says, "There's no loyalty with Mario and Luigi. The subpar Mario Brothers, ouch, used to work for me until they decided to break off and start their own business." And it's the wrong usage of their, because he's an idiot. "They'll learn their lesson someday."
He also spelled the word business way wrong. But
way wrong, yeah. Like business with 2 S's in the middle and then an NES at the end, which is just very obviously a clever reference to Wrecking Crew on the NES. That's a cool little bit of detail there, because it's never really been clarified in the games. I don't think in any like full-throated canon endorsement that the events of Wrecking Crew predated the events of Mario Brothers and that they worked at a construction site before they were plumbers. But here, that's what the movies roll in with. And I like that. Here's my theory, okay? I like that this might tie in with, not just my theory, but our theory that we might even see a little sequence, because we know Spike's in the movie, right?
Yeah, he's played by Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yes. So I think that we're going to get a little bit of Kong action on Spike's construction site. And that's going to be the escaped primates from the zoo are going to wreck up Spike's construction site. And we're getting a little bit of an homage to the original arcade Donkey Kong there.
They're going to say, "I'm going to wreck it." And it'll be a reference to Wreck-It Ralph, which was a movie that was a reference to it. And then the whole capitalistic society will go full circle. Then we can stop. That's
right. The rule of 3 says there must be a third testimonial, and it's a 2-star review by Brooklyn Couple. And I don't really understand this one yet without any proper insight from the movie itself, but it says, "SMBP left my house an absolute mess. I would have given them only 1 star, but my sweet angel of a dog absolutely loved them. He just wouldn't leave them alone." So I don't know. It's a
reference.
I don't know what that's a reference to.
It's a reference to Mario's dog.
What, Poochie from Yoshi's Island?
No. That's not a dog. That's some kind of freak. Have you looked at it? It does not have. That's like a medieval painting of what someone described. They saw a dog once, and then the painter made a freak. So yeah, that's a dog.
I think the running theory here is this is going to be the part of the movie where they actually get sucked into the Mushroom Kingdom. There's going to be some chaos afoot. Maybe some Koopas like invade. And I don't know, they're going to leave this house a mess. There's going to be a plumbing job that takes them into the sewers, and we're going to see a little bit of an homage to the original Mario Brothers that Chris Pratt says he loves so much. And
there'll be a dog, probably.
There'll be a dog. Maybe the dog will screw things up, like the dog will jump on them and push them into the portal into the Mushroom Kingdom.
The dog comes up and hits the flusher.
Yeah, he flushes them. That's right.
They get flushed.
And they're like, "No!
Bad dog," and it's just like bark, bark.
Yeah.
We should write the movie.
I think we just did. I think it's done.
All right. Well, that's it. Let's take some calls.
All right. We got 2 calls to take. both relating to what we just talked about. Let's see if they add any further insight, or if we need to stop production of the movie again and rewrite it with their contributions. All right, here we go.
Hello, this is Traveler of the Stars calling in. I finally am calling on an episode Jeff is on. Jeff, you're great. I want to let you know that. You are great too, Hyle. Just, Jeff is elusive. He's usually not on lately. Anyway, just wanted to call about the Super Mario Brothers movie. As a big Mario fan, you know, I've just been blown away by everything. Yeah, Chris Pratt's voice isn't the greatest thing in the world, but I mean, it's just whatever. It's like white bread or like a glass of milk. It's like, it's whatever. It's basic, which, you know, it's whatever. Yeah, you know, I just love all the melding of kind of different eras of references. You know, I grew up on the DS and Wii, so the Super Show and that stuff was far beyond me. But, you know, just seeing that be referenced and seeing what it means to people, and just, you know, I love Super Mario Galaxy, and apparently Luma's maybe in the movie, and just like all the references to old Mario and new Mario. It's just like it's a blending of everything. And, you know, when Nintendo announced like how they were super close to the movie, I was hoping and confident it would be good, but, you know, I was worried that, you know, the first trailer would be like, you know, Mario, you know, wake up in the morning like P. Diddy. You know, I was worried. But, no, this is great. And to talk about the Donkey Kong stuff, which is the stuff you guys care about, probably more, you know, it's also great, I'm sure, to see, like, you know, old characters like Swanky and maybe Kitty. And then, like, also, you know, newer stuff, like Returns iconography, which, you know, Jeff, I love you. You're great. But also, on that Crash Team Racing discussion, said that Returns didn't really have anything worth referencing. I don't know if I agree with that. I think the overall icon, I know you guys obviously have nostalgia for the Rare era, and that obviously has its value, and clearly it's being referenced in this movie, but, you know, I think like the overall like ruins, the kind of tiki aesthetic, I don't think the Screaming Pillars in this movie, but just like the Golden Temple stuff, you know, I think that's really cool. And, you know, hopefully kind of like what they're doing for Mario, you know, more, obviously like the melding of past and future and like modern stuff, you know, I think you can also see traces of that with Donkey Kong, to a smaller extent, of course. This is a Donkey Kong movie, but I just think that's interesting. Also, I wish Cranky was a Mario Kart. Just seeing him in that cart, it'd be nice if he was included someday. He's cool. I like Cranky in his God Emperor robe, as Hyle calls it. Anyway, looking forward to the discussion. Farewell, guys.
Thank you for the call, Traveler of the Stars. Jeff, do you know you were elusive?
I'm elusive. I'm like a I gotta think of an example. A weasel. I don't know.
I was gonna say a cryptid. You're like,
I'm like Bigfoot. I'm just blurry like that.
A skunk ape.
Picture. I wish that more people would butter me up before they tell me I'm wrong. Most people just come in and tell me I'm wrong. That just no butter at all. They just dry dog it. But no, I like that. I'll take the compliments. I don't remember anything I said on a Crash Team Racing episode. That was probably a long time ago, years.
No, Jeff is young. He has no object permanence yet.
Yeah, that's true. I don't even know what all of those syllables mean, but yeah, so stuff worth referencing from Donkey Kong Country Returns. I don't remember the context of that conversation that we had, but I probably think more about like characters and stuff. I don't want them to put Professor Chops in this movie.
So whenever we badmouth Donkey Kong Country Returns on this podcast, I want people to be clear. We like Donkey Kong Country Returns. We like Tropical Freeze. We love Tropical Freeze. When we
there's a level called Muncher Madness. How could you not like that?
When we badmouth those games in comparison to what came before, it's usually in reference to Professor Chops. We're pretty pro most things in those games. It's Professor Chops that we have some sort of philosophical issue with.
What if they do this? What if they have Professor Chops in the movie in just a background detail of like a big feast scene, and he's roasted on the table with an apple in his mouth?
Right.
And with broken glasses or something.
Here's the thing. I don't even hate Professor Chops. I just don't understand the thought process behind Professor Chops. Why they were so adamant this pig take up so much real estate across these two games.
It's probably Nintendo said so. They said, you can't have a game unless you have an ugly piece of shit in there. And they did it. No, I'm just kidding. He's fine. I really like those games. Donkey Kong Returns and such. But yeah, I have no problem with them taking visual inspiration. And I think that the series in general has basically done that. I used the word flanderized earlier, but really like the visuals of the Donkey Kong series and how it's represented in spin-offs and things and cameos has really been more set in stone since Returns. Things like the Donkey Kong's adventure in Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, things like stages in the various cameo games, such as the Mario Kart track, and other ones like Mario Golf and such. They really kind of locked in on not just things like the style of huts and the temple architecture, which have been taken pretty much straight from Returns, but also even just like those designs on the trees with the big plastic-looking leaves. That like even in the trailer for K. Rool getting into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the trees look like they've been ripped from Returns to me in terms of inspired by that art style. So everything has been really kind of not set in stone, but really taken that inspiration from. And I have no problem with that because, like you said before, we don't need to reinvent the series every time we see it. You can build on what came before and take inspiration and then add to it.
Yeah, it's exhausting not having a permanent identity to hang the series on. So I'm fine with it, and I really like what this movie is doing. It's a tribute to all eras of Mario and Donkey Kong, which, like you said, it's distilling the entirety, the last 40 years of history into 90 minutes. And yeah, you're not going to see everything included, and you kind of have this abridged version of the history. Mixing and matching and making it work within the context of the story being told. But I like it. I dig it. It's what you have to do when you're making a big budget family film like this.
And if you want, just to give you context for how little time they have to basically convey all this history and story in a film, it's 90 minutes long. That's shorter than this podcast.
Oh my god. You could have been watching the Mario movie while you were listening to this, and you chose us.
Unless you live in February and the movie's not out till April.
Well,
but we hope, which we hope. We hope you're listening to this in February. If you're waiting till April to listen to this, shame on you.
All right, well, if we want to wrap this podcast up by the time we get to the movie's premiere in April, perhaps we should go ahead and take the next call.
Well, let's do it.
Hey guys, Rick here. Just wanted to call in and give a couple of my thoughts. Okay, Donkey Kong's voice, not bad. Not bad. Need to hear it more. Doesn't blow me away, but it's not bad either. I'm not against that being what Donkey Kong sounds like. I think it's better than Mario's voice, I will say. And then the Super Show trailer commercial, I adored it. Because I love the Super Show. It's just, I can't believe they went there, and I'm so happy they did. Which really got me thinking, how many references to the Crystal Coconut Donkey Kong cartoon are we going to end up seeing? Whether it's in this movie or more than likely the standalone Donkey Kong movie. Are we going to get Donkey Kong singing about showering someone in coconut cream pies? That I got to see. I'll leave it at that, guys. Thanks. Take care.
Well, thank you for the call, Rick. We brought this up a little bit, whether or not they're going to reference the Donkey Kong Country cartoon. I think the cartoon for it, compared to the Super Show, is a little bit different in that they very quickly made references to the cartoon in the games themselves. Whereas compared to the Super Show and its derivatives, they always kind of kept it more at arm's length at the time. Rare, with Donkey Kong 64 in 1999, they very quickly adapted some of the stuff from the cartoon and made it work within the context of the game lore. They brought in crystal coconuts, they made Cranky a scientist, they even modeled Tiny's final design a little bit after the way Dixie looked in the cartoon. And so you've always kind of had the creators of the games acknowledge the cartoon, maybe because between Rare and Retro, they were in the West, and even though the DKC cartoon had somewhat of a following in Japan as well, Retro had Banana Slamma, in the games, and I think that any reference to the DKC cartoon are to be expected because they're already baked into the games a little bit.
Yeah, they're gonna probably have a whole musical number.
In a movie like this, you wouldn't really raise an eyebrow if they did, right? It felt weird for a 22-minute kids cartoon to have 2 songs per episode. It's like, what are we doing here? Is this really what you're doing with your weekly Donkey Kong cartoon? Okay, all right, whatever.
I like the one where Donkey Kong and Captain Scurvy or whatever are like mirror. He's just like doing a mirror thing. You know that one?
Like the Groucho Marx thing?
Yeah. Look it up.
So I know, I have this reputation as being the guy who hates the Donkey Kong Country cartoon, the Donkey Kong fan who hates what most Donkey Kong fans love. Philosophically, I don't really have a lot of issues with it anymore. It's just, at the time, it was our one shot to have a Donkey Kong Country adaptation. And I was also a kid. So, of course, I was going to hate it because it didn't match my understanding of the canon. I'm much more loose and flexible when it comes to this movie because I understand what the movie has to be, especially because it's a Mario movie, first and foremost. So, that being said, I'll be fine with whatever, because they are clearly pulling from every aspect of the history and media adaptations when it comes to Mario for this movie. And they're going to do the same for Donkey Kong.
Whatever they do would be fine. If they have details like, oh, there's a barrel factory, like, oh, that's a reference, but it's also fine to exist. Nothing they could reference would really offend my sensibilities as a fan of the Donkey Kong lore, especially because you already have to go into this movie knowing that a lot of the lore is different and by necessity. So it's gonna be fine. It's whatever. They could call it Congo Bongo Island for all I care, and it would be fine because it's not really the same island from the games. It's already different. Everything we've seen already is different. So go nuts.
Sure. Yeah. You just kind of have to let go because the games will always be there, right? They're never going to take the games away from you. So this is just its own thing, and it's going to be cool to see how they recontextualize everything. And we don't have much longer to wait. That's the scary part. I say this as this high-minded, yeah, whatever, knowing that the movie is just a little bit over a month away, and the time of judgment is nigh.
Yes.
In fact, the final trailer, as I said, is going to premiere at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific on March 9th. And I've seen a lot of people throw a bit of a fuss because it's just one day earlier than March 10th, which of course is the Mario Day, the big corporate embraced May the 4th-esque pseudo holiday for Mario. But what they don't realize is, 5 p.m. Eastern time on March 9th is already March 10th in Japan. So it is a tie-in to Mario Day. They just have to
That's right.
Account for time zones there because we are a global community, people.
That's true. And since the Japanese are so far ahead of us on the clock, you should be careful what you see online. They're going to spoil it for you when they get to see it a day early. Calendars.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.